Well, we made it to Mothman on Community Day in
Oh, not a good time to
Pokemon.
record because his car's coming by with my door open. So, how about that? The greatest mysteries of all time. Hence, the Mothman legacy began. It has grown into the phenomenon of the world by millions of curious people asking the question: What really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? Still sparks the world's curiosity. The mystery behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia's Mothman.
Yeah, they think he's some kind of bionic project, that got him mutated maybe from...
For coming here tonight to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. It is a town that when I first set foot here, I felt like it was a combination of the Twilight Zone meeting Mayberry. And for those of you old enough to know Andy Griffith, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What a mix of history and mystery and intrigue we have here. We have not only the Mothman legend, we have had multiple UFO sightings. We've got the curse of Chief Cornstalk to talk about tonight. We're going to be on a battlefield, the Point Pleasant battlefield, celebrating 250 years since the battle took place. We're going to be seeing some frontier graves tonight. We're going to be seeing some haunted locations. First of all, I want to mention to you that the Men in Black is a very true and real phenomenon. If you look up in this window, there's one looking at us right now. Psych. But right next to the Men in Black right there, that little black camera goes out to the World Wide Web. It's a 24-hour feed to the Mothman Museum live moth cam. So everybody wave. Because my grandkids are watching.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, how cool is that? So I know we've got some outer staters here tonight. Who's from Ohio? Because I think Ohio's in the house tonight. Wow. How about Virginia? West Virginia.
All West Virginia.
West Virginia. Ohio. Anybody else I forget? Any other state? Are we good? All right. Well, welcome here tonight. My name is Sherri Brake. I think I've met most of you here upon check-in. How many of you have done a tour with me in the past? And it changed the Scarberry's lives and the Millett's lives because of what they saw. After that, there were hundreds of documented reports of this weird, man-like, moth-like, bird-like creature. Women saw it, men saw it, kids saw it, homemakers saw it, working professionals. There were pilots at the local airport who came into land who had it pace them off of their wing. So reputable people saw this. What it was, we don't know. Still to this day, we're not really sure what this phenomenon was. But it changed the lives of many. Many of the people that saw this creature were ridiculed. Some of them never spoke about it ever again after that. Now, Mothman has changed this town. You cannot set foot in many of these stores here without seeing a stuffed Mothman, a sticker, a hoodie, a t-shirt. This is a town where history meets mystery. So that's where I want to begin.
Get to Grandma's. Jeez. The street feels creepy enough. The street feels creepy.
Yes, very much is.
Yeah, we got her early and we took a nice walk around downtown Gallipolis.
Oh yeah, over there? Yeah.
It was a perfect day.
Just a day and a half shy of a full moon. Thank you very much. This is the pink moon. Does anybody know why they call it the pink moon? It's because the first pink flowers of spring will be blooming during that time frame. So it doesn't turn pink. It's just in honor of the pink flowers of spring. Now, I wanted to show you this cool wall of art, of advertising art. This is called ghost signage. Now, how cool is that for a ghost walk, right? You're going to see 4 or 5 of these throughout town. This is simply old advertising that they would paint, and they would do this by hand. And the pigments that they would use would have a high concentration of lead. So I don't suggest anybody lick the wall tonight, okay? Not wise. The men that would climb up here and do this would be called wall dogs, was the term that was used. So I think that that's pretty cool. Ghost signage on a ghost walk. You can see they've got liquor. Vices always survive, right? Liquor, tobacco. If we were out west, there would probably be a sign up there for a local brothel as well, I'm sure. And of course, you see Ben Franklin Company was here. Who remembers Ben? Let's talk about symbolism.
Wow.
A black cat is considered to be bad luck. Do you know how you ward off the bad luck? You turn counterclockwise 3 times and say good luck. Okay, why aren't you guys doing it? Seriously, counterclockwise 3 times and say good luck. All right, don't fall over. Now, it's considered good luck if you have a white cat come into your home. Did you know that? If you see a red bird inside of your house, death will soon follow. If you see a cardinal outside, it's a visit from somebody that you've loved that has passed on. If you see a white moth flitting around you in close proximity, it's believed to be the spirit of a grandparent that is around you and in protection. There's symbolism with birds. I can see a lot of birds flying around over here.
There were a lot of
It's
white moths
believed
at the farm.
one crow, if you see one crow, 1967. This was a bridge that had been built in 1928 and connected Point Pleasant to Canada, Ohio. Perhaps from where you're sitting or standing, you're going to be able to see the train trestle bridge that's over here off to the right. Where we're standing at right now would have been the ramp leading to the Silver Bridge.
Right here.
4:58 p.m., December 15th, 1967. That bridge was heavy with the weight of tractor trailers, cars, people coming home from work, people Christmas shopping, because this was a week before Christmas. All of a sudden, movement was felt on the bridge. Now, people had felt movement on the bridge before, but they didn't really talk about it, because sometimes bridges can move a little bit. This time, an eye-bar broke, and it was like a chain reaction all the way down the bridge coming this way. You had 46 people that died. Now imagine they're dressed in their winter clothes, probably lots of packages from being out shopping. All of those cars went straight down into the icy Ohio River. And something that was so shocking, so unpredictable, so unbelievable that the people that were standing on the shore on both sides just watched it happen. There was nothing they could do. It took 1 minute for that bridge to completely collapse. 46 people died, 2 were never recovered. The bodies that they could take out immediately, they brought into the basement of this building. Symbolism. 13 trucks were on that bridge when it collapsed. Channel 13 News was the first news that was on scene. And I-bar 13 was responsible for the stress fracture that brought down this bridge. This is a sacred spot. This is a place of great mourning. So many people were affected when this bridge went into the river. The mayor at the time lost both of his parents. I know Carolyn Harris, who used to have the restaurant down here. She lost her son Timmy and Timmy's father in that collapse. If you get a chance to look on YouTube, you can see some of the devastation with the crews that came in and the salvage crews that came in to pick up the tattered pieces and parts of that bridge that had fallen in. And the recovery took a long time. It happened at 4:58, took a minute for it to collapse, and then it got dark at 5:07, so they were under pitch black skies trying to get these people out of those cars. There was one woman who was pregnant with twins, and she was sitting in the car ready to go onto the bridge, and she felt the whole thing shift, and she was able to drift her car back a little bit and watched in horror as that entire bridge sunk down into the river. Let's walk over here to the mural and
Dude, the murals are like 50 feet tall on these buildings. Every single building is covered with this beautiful stone.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Oh, so in San Juan, fun fact, there's no air conditioning. Not a single building has air conditioning, but you know what the natural air conditioning is? It's the buildings. So all the buildings that it blows all the hot air out.
Okay.
The San Juans, the architecture is amazing. Perfect.
I like that one.
I think it was right.
Well, we know where it went across, so it was a lot closer to the train bridge. Dude, I've never looked at this mural first thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys get some photographs of this mural if you'd like to. I'm gonna bring up a photograph of the bridge the day after, so that you can kind of go down to where he was murdered at. But when he was murdered in 1777, he put a curse on the town of Point Pleasant, and that possibly the Silver Bridge collapse was part of that curse. Possibly Mothman was part of that curse. Possibly all of the mine accidents and the flooding from the Ohio River that happened here, and the loss of jobs and the high rate of poverty, everything is to blame upon the curse of Chief Cornstalk. It's sometimes nice to place the blame on something, and it helps us deal with the tragedies as they happen. All right, we're gonna walk off. Newspaper,
Toast.
okay, all kinds of stuff, and just throw it at different scenes during the movie. This building sat 700 people, so I would not want to be up on the cleanup crew after that. So not only do you have the ghost of children that people hear laughing inside, but you have that man that walks the aisles, and they believe it to be the original owner here. I have spoken on this stage several times as a speaker for the Moth. If you've seen,
Okay, me
that's
and
right,
Santa.
got it. I remember when I had my first beer. If you've seen any documentary on Point Pleasant, you have probably seen the Lowe Hotel mentioned in it. Many groups have filmed here. Many television shows have filmed here. There was a celebrity that stayed here that was on one of those Survivor shows, right? And he joined up with a ghost hunting group, and they had a major television series. And he had an experience here that night that caused him to check out and go across the river and stay in Gallipolis. There has been the apparition of a little girl on a tricycle. So think like The Shining, Stephen King. The little kids creep me out. I can do any kind of ghost, but kid ghost. She has been seen riding her tricycle on the 2nd level. On the 3rd level, there has been a French maid. Try not to get too excited. Okay? A woman dressed as a French maid who wanders the hallway. I stayed here for the first time the year that they put the Mothman statue in, which was 2003, I think. And my room actually faced the Mothman statue, which was pretty, just to look out at night and see him looking back at me. It appeared to have plumes, almost like 2 horns coming off of it, and it looked like a devil. So that's why they named it the Devil's Comet.
Went back during the solar eclipse. Look where it flagged the Adams County tree at. That's where it flagged Mark on the Apple Maps.
What?
That's not, that ain't in Ohio.
Photoshop that so you have it.
I don't know. I don't know why it flagged him out there.
Who were commanded basically by Chief Cornstalk versus the settlers, the Virginia militia. So it was a clash over power and over control. That battle happened here in Point Pleasant, October the 10th, 1774. 3 years later, Chief Cornstalk was murdered here under a white flag of truce. He was kept in a cabin with several of his tribe members and his son, Elenipsico. They were all murdered by militia that came in. The militia were enraged because a local settler had been murdered by Indians. So they rushed in against commander's orders and murdered them. Legend says that when Chief Cornstalk was dying on the floor of the cabin, that he uttered a curse upon this entire area. Many people attribute the Mothman, the flooding, the coal mine disasters, the UFO sightings, all of the unusual activity here, the tragedy, the tragic circumstances of the bridge collapse, to his curse. We're going to be at his grave here in just a little bit. I want to show you a really unusual photograph that we captured on last night's walking tour while we were standing there at the grave of Chief Cornstalk. The River Museum, it's been storage, it's housed offices, so it's had a lot of different uses over the years. My question is this: since they took all of the artifacts out of this building and moved what they could to the new building, is he gonna follow? Is he attached to those items that survived the fire, or is he actually attached to the building? Now, I wrote a column in Two Lane Living magazine about this building probably 15 years ago or so. And at the bottom of my columns, I would have my email address. And I got a couple of emails from people who lived here locally that knew that building and swore that they had seen the man in the suit on numerous occasions. So whenever I'm in town, whenever I'm walking by, you better believe that my eyes are trained on those second-story windows, waiting to see if I can capture a glimpse of the man. So I'm doing that now, as a matter of fact. And if you hear a scream of glee from me, it's because I see him. All right? Doesn't happen very often.
Of course, got the book.
I feel bad if the ghost has to wear it.
4 acres. This is called Tuindaway because it's a Wyandot word, and Tuindaway means where two rivers mingle. Directly in front of us here we have the Ohio River, which we've been following, the dark and bloody river. Over here you have the Kanawha River. This is the Kanawha River, and it converges right here at the point, the Pleasant Point, as George Washington said. How interesting is it that the word Kanawha means the river of evil spirits? You basically have the river of evil spirits dumping into the dark and bloody river. Now, if that's not a recipe for a paranormal event, or a book, or a movie, I don't know what is. It's sacred ground because there are unmarked graves everywhere. This is where the battle was fought. You had over 1,000 Virginia militia. The dead were buried haphazardly around here, and I was told just recently by somebody here in the city that the reason why General Andrew Lewis is gazing off to this section is because of the amount of unmarked graves in this area.
The worst picture ever.
77 was his death date.
Right there.
Oh. Eli and Ellis, the brothers.
So what'd you think of
My
this
grandma.
tour?
She worked at a drugstore.
Here's the funniest thing was the area that we were gonna go hike
Come in.
on the other side of town, because of course we saw all the Pokemon and all the Pokemon Go Point Finches were over there. We just covered it in the tour. So we walked in Gallipolis. We walked all around here. So yeah.
Stop right here. Pretty close to where we began at, and in front of a building that houses a ghostly apparition with a top hat. This is such a cool little town. I hope that you guys have enjoyed my little look, my dark history and mystery, and everything that Point Pleasant has to offer. Back in the 60s, when the Men in Black were being seen and Mothman was being seen, we had such a high amount of UFO sightings in this town that people would come from all over and gather along the banks of the Ohio to watch these lights dance back and forth in the sky. My cousin, Wally, he was my second cousin. He lived in Cottageville, which is just on up that way. And he said he remembered vividly coming here and hanging out and sitting with his friends and watching for the lights to come and appear above the river. He said it was amazing. They would bring the biggest, brightest flashlight that they had, and they would sit on the banks of the river and signal to the craft, and that signal would be repeated back at them. Pretty cool. Now, there was a very well publicized event that took place on Interstate 77. You guys are familiar with 77? Maybe it's the way that you came in. Between Marietta and Parkersburg, there was a man heading south on 77 whose name was Woodrow Derenberger. Woodrow was driving along south on 77, minding his own business, when a craft flew above him and landed in front of him, causing him to swerve off of 77 and park his vehicle. As he sat there looking at whatever this glowing object was in front of him, he noticed that other cars were passing by as if they didn't even see him or that craft. Other cars that were heading north on 77 were doing the same thing. Nobody was pulling over. Don't these people see this strange and unusual craft in front of me? And then all of a sudden, this man-like creature emerges, dressed in dark clothing, comes over to the side of Woodrow's car. Woodrow's window is still rolled up, and yet this man is talking to him. He can hear him. The man's lips are not moving. He says it's almost as if this creature was communicating to me telepathically. And he asked me who I was, where I was going. And I told him that I was going to Parkersburg. And this creature said, well, my name is Indrid Cold. What is a Parkersburg?